Monique has a TikTok-inspired DIY, a trendy tiled table. That's the perfect piece to spruce up your space. So here's what you'll need. You need a table, mosaic tile sheets, unsanded grout, tile adhesive, adhesive trowel, adhesive spreader, float, a bucket, grouting sponge, scissors, and a drop cloth to keep your space sort of clear. Okay, Mo, I'm excited. How do we get started?
Yeah, so this is a super fun and fairly easy project that you could do if you want to, dress up a plain table that you may have or a new table that you got, or even if you want to give an old table a bit of a facelift. This is a great project to do that. And what makes this project fairly easy is these mosaic tiles. And if you're not familiar with these tiles, they have these square tiles on, sometimes they have them on the back of a mesh or a netting. These ones are held together with a bit of a flexible adhesive, but I love that they're evenly spaced and it makes it so easy to work on this project. So with the table that I'm currently working with, the sheets are a little bit larger than what the table actually is. So we're gonna have to do some cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors and cut this little edge off here. So it is fairly easy to cut through with your scissors.
While you're snipping away, Mo, I mean, that looks like a perfect fit right there, but do the tiles usually fit perfectly on the tables?
So for this particular project, it's actually good to have a little bit of hang, like a few millimeters, because you're also going to be putting some tiles on the side. So you want to have that little edge there hanging so that it meets. So when you're doing your adhesive and your grouting, then you have that to cover that up. Okay, so there you go. So once you have your tiles measured out and cut, then you want to go ahead and add your adhesive. And so the tool that I'm using to add that is called a spreader, an adhesive spreader. And so this one that I have, it has a solid edge, and then it also has this ridged edge. And so what you want to do is you want to take your tile adhesive and then you want to spread it on top of your table. And you want to get a good thin coat of that adhesive throughout. And so those ridges help to spread that adhesive evenly on the table. So once you get that smooth out there and your even coat, then you go ahead and add your tile.
What if you get a little overzealous and you put too much on? Do you have to remove the tiles and just start over?
Right. Actually, what you could do is you could just take a paper towel, because that's what I did a little bit on the edge there, and just simply wipe it through. You can also, depending on if it's a lot or a little, even a toothpick, popsicle stick, just to get into between those grooves to go ahead and scrape that out, right? Okay, so be sure to also work in a ventilated space, because the adhesive does give off some fumes, so you want to be sure that you're in a well ventilated area, okay? Follow the directions on your towel adhesive. I left mine overnight, so about 12 hours to let dry. Okay, so once you have it set, I have this side that I already did earlier, so this is all ready to go. Now we go ahead and add our grout.
I feel like this is the tricky part.
Okay. So, you know what? It was not as complicated as I thought it was. There are two different types of grout. There's a pre-mixed, and there is a one that you can mix. So I went with an unsanded grout that I had to mix with water. And so you want to make sure it's in a peanut butter type consistency for your grout. And then what you want to do is you use a tool called a float. And so this is it's like a rubberized float. And what you do is you add your grout to the table, and then you use that float to essentially press that grout into the surface.
Okay, that looks doable, but here's my question always, because I've never done any tiling at home. What do you do with all that extra grout that is on top of the tile?
So you know what, and I actually found this a little therapeutic. All you gotta do is just hold the float at an angle and just scrape it in. It actually looks pretty, like, I don't know, maybe it's the crafty nerd in me. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's nice and filled. I feel like I could renovate my kitchen at this point. Once you get it scraped off, you let that sit for about 15-30 minutes. Once it's dried after that time, what you want to do is you want to take a bucket with water and a sponge. So there's a special grouting sponge that they have. So you get your grout sponge, and then what you do is you take it and then you just wipe it at a diagonal a few times, and then that will just actually wipe that residue right off. I was like, oh, this is pretty simple. And I found that I can go in and I see if I have any notches that I needed to fix. I could use my finger or I could use a sponge and just dabble away at it. And then you just clean it right up and then you just let it sit for the rest
so good
of the time.
And you know what? It looks fabulous,
Yeah.
Mo. Like, I think those are the little IKEA tables that my kids used to use and play like restaurant with. And what a beautiful update on them, right?
So this is a great way to upcycle that and have it in the house. Like for this one, we're thinking about putting it outside on our patio so that we can have it, you know, to put our little summer drinks when we watch the kids go bike riding in the neighborhood.
Very
so
cute.
Yeah, fairly simple and easy way to do it.
Can you tell us how long it took?
So it took about 4 hours to do the adhesive because again, you have to make sure that it's spread evenly, and then I'm doing the legs and all that good stuff. So I just put on a couple of movies and went to town. And then the actual grouting process took about 2 hours. Took about 2 hours. So while it sounds like it may take 6 hours, because you have to do the overnight piece, it probably, I would say this would be a 2-day project.
You know what? It looks amazing. Another great project from Mo. Thanks for that, girl. Appreciate it.